Here we are gathered with a wonderful panel of artists who are here to share their experiences in doing some residencies. My name is Sevan Melikian. This is my gallery, so I am very grateful you joined us today. I am trying to record this so that we can actually share this experience that we're going to hear with the greater world. I'll probably put it, if the recording works, perhaps on Facebook or something, or on the website, so that it doesn't just stay within us. We share this with the greater world. This is my gallery, my Sevan Melikian. I've been doing this for, I can't even remember now, since 2012, so the math keeps changing, so I get confused after a certain while. But from this location since 2014, and I have never done a residency. Actually, I moved here with the intention of developing a career in art. I was doing really well in Fort Worth, Texas, where I moved as an artist, and I came here, and it completely stopped. I lost all inspiration, and I thought, I need residency to just jumpstart this inspiration that just ceased. Perhaps it will help me. So I thought of that residency, and I might still do it. And maybe after what I will hear today, I will do it. So let's quickly let these members of the panel introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about their art, what they do, and then after that I have a series of questions I have for the panelists, and we'll see who will want to answer these questions. I don't do this every day. The last time I did this, I can't even remember. So we are improvising, okay? Let's do it. So.
Hi, I'm Lori Sheridan. I am a sculptor. Mainly my work is for the outdoors, for sculpture parks. And I started off as a painter. I worked for years as a set painter for film. I lived in the city, and then we moved up here. So it's only been about the last 10 years or so that I've been doing sculpture, but it's gone really well for me. So, and I've had the joy and honor of doing a lot of residencies all over.
And you're based in?
Based in Kingston.
Based in Kingston. Lovely. Thank you. Lynn.
Okay, Lynn Friedman. I'm a painter, and I work on paper and brush and ink. I've lived up here for a long time, but I've also lived in New York City and back and forth. I've done a lot of residencies. I really don't know how it happened, but it just worked out that way. And my show here is from 3 residencies I did in the last 2 years. 2.5 years. And so it seemed like a great idea to get a group together of people who've done residencies, which all are different, and they have different experiences both in the US and internationally. And it would be fun to hear everybody's stories and ideas and give other people information about.
And for the record, this was Lynn's idea.
Woo!
Thank you, Lynn.
And she invited the panel here. All I did is to say yes. And here we are.
And wrote a great email of his ideas of what we would do. You did a great job, really.
Yeah.
But
My name is Bob Berry. I'm a ceramic sculptor. I actually just live up the street on Mossy Brook Road. My studio is Lucky Cat Ceramics, and I am currently represented in Beacon, New York at the Bow Gallery. And if you ask about work inspiration, most of my inspiration really comes from nature. My last show was called The Other World, and it was all about animals. I've had various residencies at Watershed in Maine, IWCAT in Tokonami, Japan, Valoris in Valoris, France, and at Birdcliff too. So,
lovely.
Hi, I'm Penny Dell, and I have to say that I give a great deal of credit to Women's Studio Workshop because that was my first residency. and the incredible clarity of thought and the agency, the ability to work and focus, transformed me. So, since then, I've hot-footed it to other residencies, but, both at, in America and abroad. And I just still love that. At home, I get totally snagged on domestic issues, and I really do try to get to the studio a lot, but there's always that worry and the care, and it's really wonderful to just go and escape and sort of be taken care of. There's usually somebody's cooking for you, you've got a bed and a studio, they give you the key at the beginning, and then I read in the New York Times you only needed 6 hours of sleep, so that was all for the bedroom, and the rest of the time, studio.
I
So,
think you read the wrong article. You need more than that.
so,
I'm Tanya Kellner, and I am a co-founder of Women's Studio Workshop, and I've been here 51 years. Start next month in the area, and so I have we've not only created residencies for artists, I have also been to many residencies. My work is sort of based on creative abstraction and a lot of the time deals with contemporary issues, political issues. So that's me.
So wonderful. So why does one seek residency? What is it about the residency that you want to do, that you want to participate in, and you cannot find in your studio, in your home, in your environment? Who wants to answer this question?
Okay.
no distractions.
No distractions.
I have no responsibilities. I mean, because everything's taken care of, so you are returning basically being a child.
Everything's taken care of.
Well, it depends where you go.
Yeah, it depends.
varies,
I
yeah.
showed up for my residency in France. There were supposed to be 3 other artists, and I showed up, and I was the only one. The others had, for some other reason or another, they all dished out. So basically, I was on my own.
On your
Just like anything else, there are many different kinds of residencies.
Yeah.
I also like being in other places that I've not been in that I think are interesting. And the visual environment is different, and that gives me new ideas.
And you also meet new people.
New people, too, yeah.
I think what Lynn said is really true. We're particularly working. Well, we moved up. My wife and I moved up here 10 years ago from New York City. So being in New York City is great, but after a while, it just feels like everything's closing in on you. So being able to go to another place with an idea and have them say yes, you go there, and then you meet other people. You're inspired by the place, and it just kind of builds on itself. So I think change of environment is really important for artists.
So you're looking for a spark in some way, and also an environment that's you're going to be taken care of. You don't have to do anything. The cooking and all that is taken, I imagine, right? And can be
Not always.
and just be away from all distractions. These are the motivations behind seeking residency. Roughly, correct?
Can
Yes.
be.
The thing is, there's variations. There's some places where you do your own breakfast,
Mhm.
or you bring something to the luncheon, but it's compared to the hours that it takes to clean, dishes and shop at home. It's nothing, and you can really follow your idea, to completion, and the ideation chain seems to be so much easier to follow without, sort of all the domestic distractions.
I,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I kind of like, just the change of environment, especially, going overseas, say to a completely different environment where you meet people that you would never meet at home. And I feel like really energized by that.
Mhm.
And because making art can be kind of a lonely enterprise.
Mhm.
I'm most effective when I work alone, but when I lived in the city, I we had a very large group that would meet and go to people's homes and studios. And I don't, as much as I love the Hudson Valley, especially for the nature, I haven't found that same exact community. And so when I do a residency, it's really more for that sense of community, that building contacts and getting to know other ways.
It must take a certain personality also, character, to fit in that. In other words, if you're very shy, very introverted, perhaps a residency may not be fitting for you. Do you think that plays a certain role, that there is a certain propensity of being interested in meeting people or meeting adventures, or does that play a role?
Open-mindedness, I think, is pretty
Open-mindedness.
key, I would say.
Also, some residencies I did, I'm still in touch with the people 10, 15 years out. Like I had one, the Helene Wurlitzer Foundation in New Mexico. The first time we had separate casitas. We didn't do any meals together at all. There was a writer and two other artists, and two of them I'm still in touch with.
Mm-hmm.
And then I loved that area so much, which was Taos, the Taos area, that I went back to New Mexico 3 other times to paint. So it led me on a path that I never would have gone on had I not done that residency.
When I was in Japan, the residency there was different than any I'd been in, because the other ones were like, you would go there, they would have someone cooking for you, you had your room, you had like the night where you showed slides, window slides, right, images, right, you did a couple of things together. But in Japan, you stayed with the family, and that was very different. And my Japanese was not great, but it was getting better all the time. And my family in particular took me to places. Maybe they even took me to from Tokonami to Mount Fuji, and hiked Mount Fuji with them. So and then I guess, as Lynn was saying about knowing people, they treated me like I was their long lost son,
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still in contact with them.
It's amazing you came back.
Well, I had a wife and a young daughter.
A question. This is especially for the sculptors, because I'm a sculptor. So I've never done a residency, because what do you do about your tools and your materials and your supplies? I would have to take a truck.
Well, I would just say that a lot of times you don't have to do what you do here. You can change. So in other words, you can go there and say, well, I'm a sculptor, right? But I want to do drawings.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen a lot of people who come in and that's what they were going to do, these sculptures and things like that. The next thing you know, they're building environments, or they're just taking photographs, or they're just writing, or they're just painting or drawing. So I think when you're in a residency, you can change. I think that's part of the growth. You don't have to do what you've always done.
Even though you give a proposal, you don't really have to follow it when you get there. It just means they think you'll be a good resident.
Right.
And you can do anything you want.
Right, that you're serious.
Yeah, that you're in.
So you can do nothing.
That some people do nothing. Or you go off.
Who did nothing?
Yes.
You're in the south of France and you say, well, I want to
That's
spend 2 days.
conceptual art.
Always just being tired. You just need a break. You can take it either way. You can
Some
say
people do
something.
that, that's
Yes.
true. Or you say, well, I'm so near the Granada. I really want to go, there. And you take off a day or 2 and off you go. And you take a break. This is
There's
great.
also, I know for sure that at the Vermont Studio Workshop, they have a big barn full of all the materials that a sculptor might need. So I'm sure there's other residencies like that one, that do provide a space and tools. So,
Well, I
If
know
I
like
could-
there's one at Coors for ceramic sculptures.
yeah.
But I think you would sort of work with their
Yeah.
mold makers.
I'm just to answer your question. I'm going to a residency in 2 weeks that's in Quebec City. I had never heard about it before, but it's specifically geared towards ceramicists and sculptors, and I'm registered to use their welding and stone sculpting facilities. So not having either of those at home, this is a huge opportunity for me.
Interesting.
Congratulations.
Thank
Yeah.
you. It's called MMAQ. You can Google it. Yeah.
As a painter, an oil painter, many years I would take my oil paints with me, and that's a heavy process. But in the last few years, I don't do that anymore. I get a suitcase that's pretty big, and I cut my paper the size I'm going to work. It's the perimeter of the suitcase. And I bring water medium, I bring gouache, I bring watercolor, and I bring brushes and ink. And everything I do is flat, and it's very light by compared to oil painting. Also, if you're an oil painter, you have to have medium, and that's flammable. And with the current environment and security, you might get stuck where they would remove your medium from your luggage, and you'd be stuck if you're in a remote area where you're not near an art supply store. So those are all considerations.
You can order online.
Yeah, you could order online and have it shipped, but that's expensive, isn't it?
It's always expensive.
Alexandra, you had a question?
Yes, I do. I've been looking into it a little bit lately, and I looked all over the place, and I could not understand the difference. Like some residencies you have to pay for, some are merit-based, some are, I don't know exactly how does one look into, finding the right place, even if you have to pay, let's say. But I just want to know, how can we decide which place is more committed to offer the artist the right space, the right environment,
Then you
etc.?
have to, so there's Alliance of Artist Communities, which is a national organization, and they list opportunities in residencies. As they're listing hundreds of residencies. Also you can search it by state, by media, by deadline, and then you read on the website and also see who was in there before.
I want to say, but I don't remember exactly, but there is a website called res.org.
Res Artis.
Res Artis,
But this is
yeah.
an international
Yeah.
alliance. This is primarily USA.
Okay.
What's it called? Alliance?
Of artist communities. Res Artis is mainly international.
Yes.
And most international residencies, from my understanding, you have to pay. Or you have to pay something. I would say, maybe 60%, 70%. I don't know.
I think some of them are by income, like you can say, well, you could pay this amount, but if you can pay more, it would help the residency, the foundation that's running it.
I think once you've decided that you want to go on a residency, you should, I think that you look at their website and you see who's been there, what kind of work they've done, that I think is really important, because you want to know if they're actually people are actually producing art, or are they just going and having a good time? I think that's really important.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I have a question for any of you. How do you do you research? Do you go to residency because a colleague tells you go to that, or I've been in that, or you are researchers of residency, or both?
It's
What's it-
definitely a lot of researching, I think, and it might be just a small blurb that they're describing what they offer, but I would look for, connection to some sort of gallery or institution, like a museum.
What do you mean?
Well, like
Whose connection to that?
the residency.
That's not, I haven't seen any like
That's
that.
not really how it's usually done. That's
I
not what I
haven't seen
understand. Most residencies are done by foundations or combinations, so it's usually a wealthy individual who endows it or who the organization inherits the property, then they set up a situation, and usually there'll be some funding for the artists. I mean, again, it depends where it is, international is different.
Well, international is different, but I have to say I have found that in Europe especially, the organizations are much more generous than they are here. So I have not been asked for money, I've been given money.
Oh, that's interesting.
So that's, in theory, how it should be. But yeah, especially in the US, you do have to pay sometimes. But that doesn't mean it's not going to be worth your while. I just did one in Cape Cod that it was worth every penny.
Laurie, we all want to know the list of your residencies.
But you
And
get paid.
pay the artist instead of the other way around.
But I was just going to say that, but what you're saying is that this is the start for where you ask these people here, like afterwards, like, where did you go? Like Lynn's gone to a lot of them, and she's very good about sharing. I mean, I came to her opening, you shared one with Tina and I right away. And so
can't remember.
that's how you find out with your community. You ask people.
Word of mouth, basically.
Yeah.
So that's always good, word of mouth. Please.
Of course.
Do you want to stick to your list, or are you welcome?
No, this is perfectly. My list is your list is everybody.
Okay, great, great. Bob, you mentioned, a benefit to you was change of environment, and you go with an idea. And I guess that's a question: does everyone go with an idea, and that is what you put in your proposal? And how formed an idea?
Well, I think what happens is that, and there was something else I wanted to address too, also, but why people go on residencies. For people who are academics, I was chair of the visual arts at Long Island University for like 20 years, and division coordinator for the arts and communications. So part of what you had to do is you had to do research. So, I mean, teaching, but and your other stuff, but your research and what your shows and your residencies, that was part of your academic portfolio, and that was how you got tenure or you got kicked out. Whereas other people, they would write articles or publish books. That was yours. That's how you did it. So that was, one thing. And I think, what was the other part?
How do you prepare it, right?
Oh, preparing the
Yeah.
idea, yeah. So
Proposal.
the proposal, I think, is really important. I mean, because I've written a lot of proposals, and they want to know how serious you are. First of all, I mean, your work has to back you up. That's the other thing. And then, I mean, if you're very vague, like, yeah, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna draw some trees, I'm gonna sit in the amphitheater and drink some Greek wine and hang out, they're gonna go, yeah, okay, but we've got, a million other people. But if you say, I'm going here because this specific connection to my work and what I want to expand on in this work, that doesn't mean you have to do it when you get there, but you have the basis of an idea of where you're going and what you're doing. So, yeah.
But I guess it also goes parallel with the institution. You have to, a little bit find out what they are looking for.
Yep.
Of course, like
Yep.
any
Absolutely, you have to
art
always.
scene, any
Yeah.
art situation.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
most residency are not looking for, most, not all.
Yeah.
They're looking for artists who need time and space, and that's what they all say, time and space, and then you just have to make your case.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So you don't have to say, oh, I'm a sound that, let's say that by the ocean, and, there's a history of boat building or whatever, and they, so
Yeah.
obviously if your work deals with that, you have
Of
a better
course.
chance than somebody who's
course.
doing something else, which doesn't have anything.
Yeah.
So it just depends. I mean, again, it's very specific.
It's a bigger spectrum, this.
What?
It's a spectrum of things,
Oh.
different.
Well, that's just part of it. I think your
Yeah.
work has to speak for itself.
Yeah.
But
Also,
also, I just wanted to say, because my first residency was at Women's Studio Workshop, is access to a Charles Brand press, 2 Charles Brand presses. And, all the tools that you need to carve wood and all the tools that you need to etch copper and, just having that ease of choreography for the making of the plates and that is part of the magic, so.
What's that specialized in that? Like you
You
go
know-
to Kohler, you work on large scale, you work with certain type of materials. But we have had that in residents in general, is basically giving you a space
Yes,
to
yes.
create. They're not giving you specialized tools unless
I
you need
understand
them.
that.
Yeah.
it's also important to pay attention to what kind of space they're offering you. In some of the residencies, I had fabulous, light, gigantic spaces to myself. And 1 or 2, it was dark, it was partially underground, it was so ancient that it was stones that were all uneven, and you always felt like I better watch every step I take. And it was kind of dank. So I didn't work inside. I went outside and I worked the whole time. And I didn't expect that. So you gotta really see what they say about this, the
Yeah, but these
workspace.
days you can, some places have videos for the spaces and you can actually preview it, so.
Some
I mean,
don't
now
have
with
videos.
websites, it's, most places are pretty complete, not everybody, but,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think the bottom line here is that you have to do your research
Yeah, that's the
and
word.
you be
and
careful.
ask other
Exactly.
artists.
Combination between research and.
And sometimes things that sound so good aren't necessarily true.
I used, oh,
So in the audience here, who's here because they are considering applying to residencies? Okay.
Oops.
All right. So we have 4 at least here who are here with very specific goal here. Application. You had probably made many applications. Were you accepted every time you made an application to residency? Every time you succeeded?
No,
So what made one successful? Why do you think you failed on others?
If anything else is juried, right? It's honestly invitational. Got juried in, so it depends on the juror. I mean, it depends on the quality of it, but also they're looking for different things. They're looking for kind of mixture of people, different backgrounds. They're looking for different stages of the career. I mean, some places, it's like any other jury. It's
So
in the
ju-
hands of the jurors.
It's a process.
What is your experience in terms of
so
what?
I like to play the numbers, put out a couple of applications, it's like, and or not a couple, maybe 3, and you'll get at least 1, maybe you'll
Not
get 2.
necessarily.
It's like,
So you're going qualitative, you're going quantitative.
Well, no, I do quality too, because I don't really want to go to a dump.
What do you mean dump? Have you
Well-
been to a dump? Art
No.
residency?
No, I haven't yet, but I'm just saying, you were saying quality. You have McDowell and you have some really amazing places, and that we all aspire to be.
I think that anything else, there are different levels. So there's a different level of competitiveness, different geographical spread. So it just depends, what do you want? I mean, you have to decide what do you want, and then you search based on that. So there are some which are very hard to get into, and some which are less hard to get into.
Yes.
So
like McDowell is
Like
hard.
McDowell is hard.
Yaddo is hard.
But
Well,
Those are based on status.
Well,
I mean, that's
status,
a different kind of
fame.
no, not
residency.
necessarily.
McDowell and Yaddo are 2 very desirable places to go because
and
it's
she's gotten them.
well,
So what do you
yeah,
mean by status?
status meaning
Well,
this is a big line on your resume, so it's meaningful to the art establishment.
Well,
But personally, I like looking at the art that comes out of what the organization is helping artists do. And if it's interesting work, that makes me want to put in an application. If I see people are doing like the kind of work that I'm imagining, then I kind of want to pursue it, and I think that'll be a good fit. I don't think putting out more applications is going to
So
help.
let me understand something. So you introduced the concept that's opened my eyes. You said status. So is there like different categories of residencies? Some are to build a career, others are just to seek solitude and inspirations, others are there. What,
Yes.
Can we articulate those different categories of
It's
residencies?
established. There are some places which are very established, and they have a long history. McDowell's over 100 years old. The other is probably close to that. And so they have had a lot of famous people who have gone through, and they, of course, capitalized on that.
Right. So if you
So they
are
get a lot
accepted to that, it's a big deal for your career, and you can put that in your resume, and the
Well,
galleries
yeah.
are going to say, "Oh, wow! If you
No,
were
it's
accepted,
it's
that."
a small deal for your career. It's just a line in your resume.
But it
It's a
also,
good
Yaddo
one.
has so many different kinds of artists
They
there,
all do. They
and that's
all
sort
do.
of interesting.
I mean,
That's
that's
Well, it's like exhibiting at MoMA. in residency, Yado, McDowell,
Well, you know, but the others, I mean,
In
residency
residency.
which are invitational, which are, you
Yeah.
know, you have to,
So
Yeah,
I
but I
think,
think with everything, it's subjective.
exactly.
yes,
Yeah.
of
I mean,
course.
you know, when you talk about jurors, you know, and getting into a show, having somebody look at your work and things
Yeah,
like
of
that,
course.
it's so subjective.
As I said, depends on the juror.
And it depends on which side of the bed they wake up that morning,
Of
or
course.
what they were reading the night before. So
Well, or that they just blinked, you know, they're reviewing 2,000 applicants online, you
Yeah.
know, so they
Yes.
blinked and they missed you.
So to our potential applicants here, do kind of a soul searching, like why, what are you looking for in a residency? If you're looking for a line on your resume, you better go for these fancy ones. And if you're looking for just the experience
No,
or the inspiration,
No, I think
I think what you should look at, if you have never been to a residency and you're sort of overwhelmed because there's probably 1,000 residencies, if not more, look places where you have a chance. For example, Salt and Store is a residency in Ithaca. It's only for New York State artists, so you already reduce competitiveness by 50 or by 40 or by 30, whatever, 30 times, because it's only for New York State artists. So I mean, they only have, in the summer, so they only have 4 sessions, and one of them is for teachers, so they only take 3 hours at a time, but there's other writers also. So you have 15 hours, right? 50 hours in New York, or 20 hours from New York State get selected a year. So it's a small number, but it's, you know, you have there's a better chance that if it was open to everybody in the world. So, Berkeley, you know, or look for something which it does not necessarily has to be the top 10, you know. But I mean, you shouldn't. It's not that you shouldn't, but if you are sort of overwhelmed, find something which sort of fits. Or if it's someplace where it only deals with sort of nature and landscape.
So wait a minute, you're saying Berkeley is in the top place?
No, I didn't say that.
Very
I mean, I don't think you should categorize. I think it depends on your experience. I think if they have facilities and you meet interesting people, that's fabulous. I mean, it doesn't matter. Yes.
there's another factor which we haven't mentioned, that a lot of residencies accept writers who are in the midst of writing novels. They may have already been published, poets who are working on their poetry. One residency I did in Ireland was a composer, classical music
Sure.
composer. So in some residencies, you get all of the arts in
Most
varying
residencies.
amounts.
Most residencies.
are you saying that they are mixed, like
Yes.
the poets and?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most residencies will have writers, poets, some of them dancers.
Dancers
You want
sometimes.
me to go?
We need to open the door,
Ah.
even though it's open.
So I think it
Yeah,
just
somebody went.
I think that's
Always
a
taken care
really
of.
good mix when you go to a residency where it's not just specifically one thing, because all the influences will affect your work, and all those connections will affect your work later on. I think one thing also is that when we talk about going to these different residencies, the geographical location is really important. I mean, I'm just going to say it. I'm not going to Texas. I'm not going to Mississippi. I'm not going to Alabama.
Right.
Okay, for a lot of different reasons. But no, I'll be going. I go to Washington State or Oregon or someplace like
Beautiful
that.
places.
Yeah.
now also the national park residencies.
Yes.
I mean, it's a whole slew of them.
Except the one in Yosemite, they tell you they have a cabin in the woods, and the bears come to drink at the stream.
But it's not
and
for
there's-
everybody. It's
and there's no Wi-Fi.
As I said, not for everybody.
That, I crossed that one off.
There's a horror movie called Cabin in the Woods.
I was just curious if you found like certain residencies cater to more a younger artist as opposed to older artists.
Yes.
Does that make a difference to you? Because my gut instinct, I would not want to show up someplace where there was a bunch of 20-year-olds, but maybe that's a good thing. Have you found?
Depends.
I don't know, personally, it kind of bums me out if I'm the way oldest person in the whole situation, but I did go to a residency in Latvia, which was amazing, and I met all these younger artists, and we formed a collective. I mean, I had no experience or, inclination that was going to happen, and yeah, it was great anyway. But
Yes, many residencies, primarily the artists are there in that late 20s to late 40s. That's the primary age.
And I think that's a problem because as you get older and you're deeper into your career and deeper into your work, it's like you're not seen anymore.
Yes.
And that's, I think, sad because you still have a lot to give, still have a lot to learn, and you still have a lot to basically pass on to other artists. So looking for one where there's a mixture, I think is great.
And you can usually tell by the work, by the previous.
And the
residents.
pictures, you
Yeah.
can see the pictures of the
Yeah.
people, so that gives you some clue.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is that when I was in my 30s, I heard about this couple. He was a magazine travel writer, and she was an artist. And I said, oh, that is the perfect life. I would love that. So I did marry a writer, and we applied for a number of residencies together because there were certain residencies that allowed you to bring a partner with you.
And that was not your only criterion for marriage.
No.
Husband is here, so.
50%.
Well, maybe no. No, but we did 2 or 3 in different places, and he did his thing and worked, and I did my thing, and I worked just as much as if I'd been there by myself. So there are, if you have a partner, whether they're in the arts or they're not, you might be able to bring them, but you have to look carefully because most of them are you go solo, but there are quite a few.
So,
Of course, go ahead.
okay, so I'm an emerging artist. I have, been working on generating a body of work. It's kind of modest, but I've been at it 5 to 7 years, depending on how you count. I've taken classes with Penny. And I guess I'm wondering sort of how much evidence you need of being serious and how you represent that. Is it a link? Is it I don't even know, not LinkedIn, but pardon me?
Resume.
Resume.
On your
Website.
resume, do you need to have been accepted into juried shows to be considered serious?
Do you have any
Yes.
shows? Yes, there's some shows. You have to show in some place.
Yeah.
So I've shown places where as a member you're allowed to put up a piece.
Well, you don't talk about that, do you?
You don't tell them
Straight
that.
down.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a show. And I think something else and that is a very traditional path to follow, but I would tell you need to have a
Story.
Instagram.
Instagram, that's what I was trying to think of, yeah.
You really need to have an Instagram footprint.
Things are changing
And a
so
website,
much.
you need a website?
A website, yeah, people are not looking at
Not
website as much.
No,
Your
not
Instagram, I mean, obviously, if you want to do TikTok, yeah, but I'm just saying, Instagram is really taking over, and I
Yeah.
see that more and more
I agree.
all the time.
Also, I
I
think
want to
it's-
understand something though. We're talking like residencies that you pay for,
No.
the one that require Instagram and some stuff for a career and
What I'm-
some
what I'm-
resume, or these are like juried residencies?
Yeah, jury. They're all jury.
Juried residency.
They always ask you your social media.
Yeah, your social
They
media
always ask
footprint is
that.
becoming more and more important though.
But is it, I'm sorry, because this really, actually, I'm really curious about this. Is it really simply just having a presence, or do you have to be like posting every day and really creating
No.
all that
No,
content?
no, and
No.
let me
It's just
give
as
you an
long as you have
example.
Sort of like,
Okay, so let me give you an example. So the gallery that I'm part of, the Bow Gallery in Beacon, right? So we just had an open call for artists in the Hudson Valley. And the show is called Grit. And from that show, we pick one solo artist that has a solo show next year in the gallery, and then 2 other artists that show together. And so, they submit images, but we also look at their website and we look at their social presence to see how active they are, what are they doing, and that really tells us a lot because a lot of times we will accept somebody and saying, okay, these are the people that we're interested in giving maybe a solo show, and then we go, well, let's look at their next step. What does their website look like? What does the rest of their work look like. And it could be a real fall off from there. They could have a one piece that looks really great, and then after that, it's like nothing. So I'm just saying from experience, this is more important now.
I want to say, sorry, that I saw some paid residencies that they also have jury.
Yes,
No,
yes,
no,
yes.
it's just to answer you, it's not only jury, no pay, jury, you pay and you go, because there is competition also to pay.
Right.
That's what I,
Also, you have to
I'm
realize,
just saying to clarify.
you have to
You have to
realize
research a lot and talk to people.
that when you are accepted to residency, you are living in a group environment, right? So they want to know who they allow into this special
Exactly.
space, but there are X number of people that they, don't cause problems. So there are
Exactly.
rules, and I think, but I would say to you, because you said here at the beginning, that's part of the story. So you have an unusual story, and so you need to sell that story. Why you need the residency? Because blah blah blah. That's what you're interested in. I mean,
That's
that's
a
not
good
the answer.
point.
But you don't have a standard career path. You're not 25 out of school.
No, I'm close.
I know, but I'm just saying that when they are looking for something, just like any kind of application,
Yes.
they want to hear the story, why this is important to you, and how it would help you in the future to pursue the dream, whatever that is.
Thank you.
Is there a service out there, like an agent, like a
No, I mean it's a
broker or
it's
something
a
like that?
common sense, you know.
No, I mean,
you
we'll do all
wish.
the research, I'll
like
pay you
with the-
$500, you do the research for me, I live in New York, this is my work. Is there a character like this out there? Shall I open a business like
Yeah,
this?
it's called AI.
Well, there's also, I'm part of, I'm sure most of you are part of the Arts and Opportunities, the New York Art Facebook page. You guys know
You
about
mean
that?
NIFA?
What is it?
New York Foundation for the Arts, NIFA?
Yeah, well, there's like a Facebook group of artists, and there's like 30,000 people. It's mostly New York based, but there's been a couple people who have done spreadsheets of different, and will give like little reviews.
That's what the Alliance of Artists Community does.
What is it?
That's when, if you look for Alliance of Artists Communities,
Oh.
you find a listing, you can search it by media, by state, by deadline, and then you see what pops up, and you just look at the website.
Yeah. No, but the date, the sort of spreadsheet, which is like
Oh, that's right. I remember the
they'll-
Google
they'll-
Doc,
they'll
yes.
put something like, like personal, like things, there was a lot of young people, or like, they'll give personal
Yes,
little
that's a
reviews,
great-
which
yeah.
I
They're drunk
think
all the time.
is helpful. I don't know if there's a formal place
Well,
you
there was
can
supposed
find
to be
it,
five.
but-
Yes,
There's
I
no
think you
one.
can Google it, because, I've seen that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very long.
But for you, it's good.
I'm curious about that.
Oh, I was just gonna make a comment about the place you were talking about. I think it's Artist Communities that also puts out the data on how many apps they got and how many
Yes.
people got approved,
Yeah.
which other places don't do.
That's
I mean,
unusual.
that's,
So if
That's
you look at a place, you don't want to have, you want your arts to be no higher. If you're just starting at 20 to 1, I mean, if it's 200 to 1, why bother,
Right.
Also, some residencies ask for an application fee, but many of them don't.
Yeah.
And so you're not,
Actually, many of them do these days.
now, more so than it used to be, maybe.
Yeah.
Because it's so expensive to use the service. What is it?
They have to read all of those applications.
No, it's not the reading. It's a processing fee for the site which hosts it.
Oh, Res Artist.
No,
Got
those
it.
artists. That's also true.
Well, I haven't applied for a lot in the last 3-4 years, except the 3 I got. So it may have, things change also. Some residencies exist and then they no longer exist. One, there was a stock market turn down and it was a foundation and they decided to close the residency in Spain. It was wonderful. And another one, the man died and his lover took over running it, but he was a soccer player and he didn't have much interest in running a residency. And that was a great one, but he ended it after a few years. So there's a lot of evolution in residencies and other ones
And many new ones.
evolve. When what?
Many new ones.
Yeah, many new ones too, right.
Yeah, the landscape is always changing.
It's
That's
not
the one thing you can be
constant.
guaranteed of is that there's constant churning going on. But
Like the galleries,
Like
they
the
come and
gallery.
go.
Open and close.
Yes, the galleries come and goes.
Tell me about it. I've seen a few. I feel like a dinosaur. From an artistic standpoint, residencies, any kind of epiphany, some really amazing creative thing that came out of it that really almost, I wouldn't say change your career, but maybe gave you a new direction. Is there an instance like this that you can share with us?
Oh yeah, well that one I brought up before that was in Latvia where there were a lot of younger people and we formed a collective and that lasted for years and we did group shows. But they were more conceptual, so that was a total shift in my thinking. It was
And did you adapt some of those ideas? You were inspired at least, or
I was inspired.
It was stimulating, I guess.
Well, I incorporated them by doing my work, but doing it. It was a collective effort, so our ideas kind of melded.
And you never know what you're gonna encounter, so there is that surprise element.
Yeah.
And you have to be open for it. That's what I say. Open-mindedness is a
Right.
and I mean your work here is a testament of what you can produce in a residency.
Well, these are from 2 residencies, and then the paintings are from my studio when I returned. And I just really got into the idea of everything interacting, all these molecules, gyrating energy. And so my drawing style changed radically during that period.
I mean, this dancing molecules concept that you bring up. I mean, you're sure you didn't go to a scientific residency, right? It was an artistic one? Because that's new.
That's new.
That's
right?
new. I've never heard. I mean, I've
I
known
made
you
it-
since
I made
almost
it
day one,
out.
2012. You were in my first show,
I
and
wasn't-
and
I
you coming with these molecules. I'm like, hold on a second. Where did you go again?
Yeah, but I had a kind of epiphany maybe 10 years ago. I went to a residency in Ireland, in Northern Ireland, and it rained every single day. My intent was to do oil landscape paintings. I couldn't do that. But they had a conservatory, which was a huge garden with plants and flowers. And I spent 3 weeks drawing in the conservatory. And then I came back and I continued it. So I went through all the seasons with biological forms from that residency. And that was kind of a 4 or 5 year period. So,
I think what Lynn is saying is important as an artist, the growth of yourself. Because a lot of times you don't have it, you were saying an epiphany. I mean, it's kind of almost religious in a way, and maybe it does happen. But I
A new
think
direction.
the accumulation of many experiences, and a lot of times, at least for me, what happens is they sit there. And then they slowly but surely, I'm sifting through them. I don't even know that I'm sifting through them, but then they start rising, they start bubbling up, and the next thing I'm going, oh, I'm doing this, why am I doing this? Or I did this, oh yeah, when I was back there, that really interested me, and I'm carrying that through. So that's how sometimes, and one other thing, it says, when I was in Japan, by the end of my time there in the summer, I was actually able to speak and understand Japanese. Which was, I went to the post office and I told him I had to ship some stuff, and I said, I just spoke to this guy in Japanese and he understood me, you know?
How long were you there?
Was it what, about 3 months, 2 months?
That's
Yeah,
pretty
2
good.
months, yeah.
Make it-
But it was
How
like,
old were you again?
I was old, way old.
Unbelievable, right?
But what's interesting is, like, I too went to Japan, and I thought, I'm usually so damn verbal. You know, for once I was tongue-tied, and all the creativity that goes into language making actually went into the work. You know, so there's that. But I wanted to relate like I use a lot of the interiors of security envelopes from America, and then, when I went abroad on a residency to Ireland and then to France, I started noticing that the insides of their envelopes are different, and the messages on the security envelopes are different. So one wonderful thing happened in the French residency at Orquevo, that one of the people that was working there had a a relative that was working in the mayor's office, and she came to me with an armful of security envelopes that everybody had paid their taxes in. And it was just such a bonanza. I could not have asked for the most, a better
Material.
gift. So I had such a wonderful time cutting up these envelopes and, isolating all the different messages. And the ones from Ireland too, like, they who gave you Celtic crosses, those very, and they translate to the interiors of their security envelopes. And I'm always very aware of all the messages on all the envelopes in all the languages that say, go to electronics, save paper, so I'm aware that, security envelopes aren't long for this world, it's all gonna be
Avoid them all.
electronic. So,
But for me, when I was working full time, it was really important, supporting other artists. It's important for me to have some time away from that. So to go to residency was a sort of like a jump off point where I can develop something and then I can sustain it throughout the years. So for years I would go once a year if I could get the residency, sometimes more, just to be able to sort of move my work along. And then I can sort of continue in a similar way while working full time. That has changed since I'm retired from that job. I think there's always something about being in a new environment that forces you to sort of, allows you to change. So, I don't know if you ever happened, so when you draw or when you write with your dominant hand, you sort of develop a style. I force you to change and use your non-dominant hand, different things happen. So I think of it the same way going to a residency. When you go to your studio, if you are disciplined and you go every day, it's a familiar place and you just go to familiar. You just sort of do your work. But if you want something, you feel like you have reached an end and you need to start something new, going to a residency or to a new place will allow you the time and sort of the focus to see something different. I mean, it might not be the path to follow, that could be the false start, but for me, it feels like, I don't usually go with specific thing unless I do international residency, which I don't do because I don't like that idea. So there's a lot of frustration when you don't have a specific thing, just sort of allowing yourself to do whatever happens. So, a lot of the people around you, they have a specific project they can accomplish, and I sort of envy those people because I don't do that for different reasons. If I have a specific project, I find it boring because I just wanted to execute it. I can execute it other places. I don't have to travel to execute.
Yeah,
So I go there for inspiration.
open up.
Yeah.
That's a good
Question?
Sure. Do you think it's worthwhile to really aim for the residencies that are like a month long? I mean, I'm sure any residency is
Yes.
great, but I can
Yes.
imagine like a week, like it
No.
just takes you a day to like get settled
No,
and
because, no,
Too
it's-
short,
No.
weeks too
Yeah.
short.
3 weeks minimum.
2 weeks.
3 weeks minimum.
3.
Yeah.
3 is ideal, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's different. I like 6,
Mhm.
but
I want to make a
you can-
comment. Totally, I have only one experience in residencies per invitation, and I admire because all the applications and research, I saw that, every artist has a different, some people go all the time with grants, other one with residencies, and I met in that residency one young guy from UK that he lived out of UK the whole year because it's too expensive for him. So it was fascinating to hear the guy that said, I'm in UK only 1 week because I don't have money. And he knew how to manipulate the system of residency to
Many,
be all over the world. That is why I asked you about the research.
many young artists go from residency to residency.
Exactly, that's what he explained to me. And I was like, my eyes were like,
Wow.
he said, and it was like almost 5 to 6 years that he was
Wow.
He was from all,
5-6 years.
yes, all over the world. He said, I was born in UK. He said, I don't have the money to live in London. It's so expensive for me. He entered in that, routine of applying, connecting, talking to people, getting invited. It was amazing to hear that. That's why I'm saying it's not only the research, it's all the
Yes,
the
many-
component,
It's
and
sort
you
of like
enter in that.
journeying.
It's like a journey of a rhythm coming out of the regular.
There's another factor, which is people sometimes say to me, oh, well, did you have to teach when you were there? I never had a residency where I had to teach. I don't know if that happens.
I did.
Maybe in the national parks, they ask you to do a workshop.
Right.
But generally, you have an informal exhibit at the end of your residency. It's not formal. You just put your stuff up on the wall, and you might talk a little, or you might just socialize with the people.
Is this the experience you had, that you had to do a show at the end of your residency?
Yeah.
That's conventional?
No.
Yeah.
No?
Well, there's agreement
What?
anyway.
It's
How-
informal though.
What makes one like that?
You
and-
can have like usually they ask, well, places I've been to ask for open studio. You can have an open studio if you want.
Ah, open studio.
But
Yeah, I
not-
think-
many of them don't have exhibition sites because
Yeah.
of that
Yeah.
residencies.
Yeah.
And you can do presentations like whatever, PowerPoint, whatever.
Yeah, I think
There are
when,
readings and there's, there are different, like McDowell does, every day, every night there's a presentation.
So there's a
That's very good.
critique also?
No,
happening?
no.
No, just a presentation,
No.
one way.
I mean, there are places which have, usually for young artists where they do have critiques, or they offer that, but it's usually suited for younger audiences. Postgraduate.
I think it's informal because I think one of the things that happens in a residency is that the other people who are there, well, at least my experience was that you were constantly going out to people's studios and you were talking to them about their work, and then you would go back, hang out, in your own work and stuff like that. So there was always this informal exchange of ideas, and most places I think now they didn't have a gallery, at the that where they showed the residents' work. It was an informal, it may have been like you cleaned up your studio as best as possible and invited a bunch of people in,
Yeah, that's
or things
typical.
like that. Or in Valerisa was kind of interesting because they had one where they had artists, and then you showed at this big sort of thing in the city hall. It was very different in France.
Is
But-
it Picasso lived there in Valoris?
Yeah, they also had the Fit de Picasso, and that was an amazing thing. That was worth being there. That was, they took, Valerisa is where Picasso made his ceramics, so going there and being resident there and working was just like, that was,
So you were at the very
yes, that was
workshop.
fabulous. But what they did is I think it was in July, the middle of this, and it's a very small town, it's kind of like High Falls, but bigger. And they put a big table out, and I mean, it went for blocks, it's a big table, and then everybody in the town came and ate.
The 8?
Wow.
Yeah. It was a big, everybody did. It was a big Picasso festival. It was crazy, but it was wonderful. So,
What was the name of the workshop, of the shop? I
I
forgot.
remember something Valerie's.
Yeah.
I mean, Dale Dorsch, who runs it, is still running it.
Chagall also went there.
Yes, they had, it was,
There's a funny anecdote where Chagall had come there before Picasso, and he did his little thing, and then when Picasso arrived, he didn't want to meet him, so he left his station and went to hide. And Picasso came and recognized that Chagall had been there. He messed up his work.
No.
Chagall was furious. For Picasso, he does whatever he wants. You don't know.
jealousy.
He's the king. So,
No.
okay, any questions? So if there is one residency that you want to go back again and again, which one would that be and why?
I would just say it's never the same twice.
Okay.
You can't recreate it.
You want to have
Experience.
different experiences. You're not seeking the same kind of a setting or climate.
It's not that I wouldn't go back, but I wouldn't expect the same thing to happen.
Yeah, because the people will be different.
People will be
Yeah,
different,
right, I see. Is there?
I don't have one that I would want to go back to.
Go back,
again.
okay.
I feel like if I did another one, I would do something I've never done before.
Bob, I'm
I
gonna
like-
skip you because it's gonna be Japan. I know you're gonna say that.
Well, I wanted to say one thing though about that is just that you can't go back because what you do in the time and the space between then and now is that
You
you're
change.
constantly burnishing that memory and you're making it better and better every time you remember it. And then you do it and it's not that anymore. This was okay.
Very cool. Very cool.
I want to say that I am the exception because I've had two residencies, you know, at Women's Studio Workshop, one in 2003 and one in 2008. And I love, you know, just having those Charles Brand presses. And I love that the water bath is there and the, you know, the special, you know, etching liquid ready to go. I love that. But I've also had two at the Vermont Studio Workshop, and I'm heading for a third one
Wow.
in 2026. And part of it is, yes, they are the same, but also I'm different, and I can use the materials in totally different ways. And I'm more adept at woodcuts, and I'm more adept at etchings, and I'm more adept at the mixed media work that I do. And you know, there's all of this stuff of familiarity, and you know, I'm not going to have to, you know, sort of feel ill at ease at all at the beginning because now I'm already
Familiar.
there. But there were two really special residencies I went to that I really loved for different reasons, and one of them is the Chateau d'Orquevaux. And at the last minute, you know, my husband also applied to go as a writer, and you know, so we were both accommodated. He went as a writer to his work desk, and I on the first floor, and I went up to the third floor for my studio. And you know, that was sort of living in a dream because Diderot's son built this wonderful palatial home.
Diderot, you mean the philosopher?
You know, it's in Orquevaux, 3 hours east of Paris, and you know, you have to get all the logistics right to even get out there. But then, and you know, they do give you a couple of trips to, you know, like materials if you forgot to bring them, you know. But you know, it's isolated enough, but it's also luxurious enough, you know, that you feel like, you know, I can't believe I'm living in Diderot's, you know, sort of son's mansion, right?
It's inspiring.
It is very beautiful physically, inside and outside. And then Chautauqua, right here in upstate New York, gave me a 2-week residency, which I don't usually like 2-week residencies. I like being there longer. But into that 2 weeks, there was so much, you know, stuffed in because they have a big amphitheater. And I hadn't been to a residency where every day you are blown full of new ideas. They had the National Geographic come and talk to you about all the things that were happening, not only to the coral, but you know, the plastics in our veins and all of the struggles worldwide. And you know, that ended up going into my work. And then they had Wynton Marsalis there, and
This was
he-
part of the residency?
Yes.
So all of these
All of
auxiliary
these-
events are happening?
Yes, so
You have
in
access to it, a
2
separate
weeks,
thing.
packed with ideas.
That's
And,
amazing.
and what happens to those ideas? They burble through your body and your brain, and they come out in your hands and onto your work. And it really, I thought, okay, so accept 2 weeks when they are given onto you is if they come with this incredible, you know, mind-raising unit. So, you know, that was, you know, 2 very different, you know, residencies. That-
Where was this one exactly?
It was $4,000.
Yeah, where was it?
Chautauqua, it was subsidized, you know,
Now
partially for
it
me.
isn't, it's $4,000.
Well, it wasn't,
That's
it
what it
was-
costs to stay there.
yeah,
will
but
say
I'm
that
just saying,
yeah.
some of them are subsidized, you know,
That's not what they told me.
okay.
Did you try to apply to that?
Yeah, well, they accepted me, and I couldn't pay, I wouldn't pay that.
I see.
I mean, you know, if you can, it's great. I can't, and I won't. But you know, Chautauqua is where they have summer programs for these presentations. It's a huge place. People go there to listen to lectures, participate. You know, I mean, all from all fields. And the art school is separate. You know, I mean, it's separate. It's part of it, but it's a sort of. So I mean, for you it was great because you got to experience all that. So I just want to say, you know, sometimes things are not what they appear. You know, so you have to really read. You have to read details. That's all I'm
Also,
saying.
I've noticed residencies that have been advertised online that appear to be villas and estates. And, you know, everybody's very happy, but I don't think that they're not really residencies in the
Right.
classic sense. They're really just a fancy vacation with meals.
Well, I think, you know, if it works for you, there's nothing wrong with it because it's a cheap way to go
They're not cheap.
get a space. Well, you know, it's
Yeah.
not too,
Yeah.
it's cheaper than if you're booking a hotel, usually.
I think they call that art glamping.
Yeah.
Maybe that, is there a category like that?
I
Could
just made
be.
it up.
Yeah, but I've
I haven't
noticed,
gotten over the guy who's been at it for 6 years going from residency.
But there's many young artists who do that.
It's like a
it's hard to do.
nomadic,
You have to be good at planning.
art nomad.
And you have to have some money because you can't go from one to the other, there are breaks. It's not as easy as it looks, really.
Oh, I don't think it's easy, especially emotionally, to be moving all the time.
I'm intrigued about the cost of this residency. I heard $4,000, and you
It's,
were.
I mean, to do a residence, I mean, they tell you each place, you know, they cost them between $4,000 and $6,000 a month at least for you to offer the space.
$4,000 to $6,000 a month.
It costs them, but yeah, they
It costs them,
yeah.
but it costs.
You nothing or it costs you something. It depends. It depends on
What's the range? What's the
Okay, so-
average?
So, you know, one of the ones that I went to at Vermont Studio Works, I learned to cook pancakes for 50 people because part of my being there was I was working. I had, you know,
I see.
a work thing
I
in the
see.
kitchen. So, but it didn't really mess me up because, you know, I was already cooking at home and, you know, trying to punt my art career forward. So it's like,
I
hadn't
can
made
get that
pancakes for 50
residency. I'm a
years
cook
for
here,
50
so.
people.
Charlie?
I mean, it's the same was the range of colleges, right? It goes from X to Z. It's the same thing. So nothing to more. You know.
Yeah.
Well,
I was gonna say, you like cooking pancakes, huh?
no,
Where is
just shish kebabs. No, from
It's
Istanbul.
in the kitchen.
Yeah, I think it.
Behind
I
the
think,
counter.
I think you're right. You can go to one where it's nothing, or you can pay like at Chautauqua, which is I've been there. I haven't had a residency there.
It's
but I have
fabulous.
been.
I mean, it's a fabulous place to be.
Absolutely, but yeah, I can see where they would charge you a ton of money because it's just that kind of a place that will do that.
I mean, there's intellectual stimulation, and presentations, and lecture.
Yeah, you know, and also you have to figure that you, where you're going, you also have to pay for your airfare and all that other kind of stuff to get there, you know?
Yeah.
And then some of them, there is no food. You cook for yourself or with the other artists. So you have to, do that in mind, so.
I just think this is a good time to interject. I want to recommend a couple websites that, you know, I've been through a lot of them, and it's nice if they're a little more focused to artists who aren't looking for a luxury vacation. Artenda.net, I think it costs around $4 a month, but it is international. Artconnect.com.
What was the first one?
So
Sorry.
Artenda.
Artenda.
How do you spell that?
ARTENDA.net.
What, that is a residency or a
It's a,
conglomerate?
it's a
Aggregator.
website.
Aggregator.
Aggregator. And artconnect.com. Curator space is okay, but, and then for open calls Sweden and beyond, there's konstpool.se.
I'm sorry.
KONSTPOOL.se. It's based in Sweden, but sometimes you can find other European countries listed.
One more time. Spell it.
Oh, Perhaps you can make this available for some of us to take pictures of this page.
Okay.
You have a nice little list of.
Sure.
That's very nice
I
of you.
welcome anyone to.
Can I add one that is free, that I think that is good for any artist at any stage, is creativecapital.org. Is free and it has residencies, grants. It's not only residencies, but I always recommend two things: creativecapital.org and NIFA.org. Those two places that are free, that they put information all the time. If you sign, it's just we have to be smart also to get our information. Creative Capital is a big organization and they are very generous in putting, if you have to sign to receive emails with information. Those are the two places, sorry that but I
Great.
like everybody to know because it's close
And
to
then
us.
how do you find your residency?
NIFA is nyfa.org. That is,
I knew the administrator
Foundation for the
of the residency in Italy, so I knew he was doing that. He teaches at University of Washington D.C. That was one. The one in Chianti in Tuscany, I found it online. I read about it. It sounded interesting. That's the only one that I was not really happy with. It was a gorgeous location. It was in the vineyards and olive groves and near some lovely little tiny towns. But it said that they were going to have 3 to 5 residents at once, and there were no other residents but me
Wow.
and my partner. And we did okay, and I still worked, and that was great, but there was no social life because there was nobody there. And that was kind of a mixed bag for that reason. So that one, I didn't know anyone had been there, so I just read what they wrote, and I believed it. She had been an architect, he had been a lighting designer with work that the Museum of Modern Art owned. It seemed like a reasonable assumption, because all my others were always good. I never had an issue. But that one had a little problem.
Sorry.
Yeah.
This, and if you look on Instagram and you put in artist residencies list, you'll get the list.
Artist Amsterdam,
Art list residencies list,
Art List Residencies.
the list.
I think I put it on there. Artist
The
Communities
other thing-
Alliance.
The
No,
other-
that's a
You said
different one.
it is.
The other thing you can do is
I mean,
look,
same information,
you look at a certain residency, you see who's been there, you find a person or two that's from New York or you're nearby, and you call them up. You say, I'm interested in going, what was your experience? I did that for one, not recently, but I remember doing that. So you get a recommendation from someone who's already been there, which is an idea.
We're gonna wrap this up. I think we are. If there is any questions, please, this is the time to ask them. Yes, please.
How often did the people who are running the program were they interactive? Did they come in and check on you, or were they really hands off? Is it different? Does it
They'll take you
matter?
to the grocery store if there's no grocery store and you don't have a car. If you were ill, I'm sure they'd take you to a doctor. I've never had that experience.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I mean, is anyone checking in on your progress of your artwork?
No. No one's there looking over your shoulder at all.
I'm just curious about the fact that, if you come up with an incredible proposal, like really, really appealing, and you don't do any of what you're saying you're gonna do, you're allowed to do that?
Yeah, they're supporting you as an artist, and that means whatever you want.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it could be what's in your head, it could be that you need to sleep
I have
for
a
months.
great tip for you all. You just put, give me the best proposal on AI, and then see what works, and then it doesn't matter, just put it up.
Actually,
Things are changing.
sorry, I keep asking questions, but this is really helpful, so I really appreciate it.
Yes.
Would you ever come up with a proposal of something like that might be totally different from what you're doing? Like if you're a painter and you're like, you know what, I really want to do this sculpture that's involved, like would you go and take a big chance at a residency? Or
Well, you have to support it with,
Absolutely.
you have to support it with your work. So if all your work is painting and you say, I want to do gigantic sculpture, you have to give a reason for that and how you're going to do that. You know?
Right.
You
But
have
I'm
to
sorry,
skip.
personally, would you take those opportunities to do a big risky project, or do you keep it safe?
No, I think they'd rather see risk. They like somebody who's got a sense of adventure, I think, about the whole thing.
Well,
I think so,
there's
but I-
degrees of risk.
Yeah, but I think if you're someone who has never done like stone carving, and you're a painter, and you say, I want to go to Italy, I want to go to Korea, and I want to get some marble.
I did that.
You know?
I did that.
Okay.
And after 10 minutes, I was like, marble sculpting is not for me. And it was 100 degrees, yeah.
But
so-
imagine though that you went there and you were
Yeah.
there for a month, and that's, you know, and
Totally.
you're like, yeah, it's not for me. I'm gonna go eat some pasta and have the Chianti or something, you know. Yeah, I think it depends. You have to. There
No,
has
also
to be
you
a certain
apply, but
backup.
then you're applying to a place which is only doing sculpture. So that would make a difference. If you're applying to an regular business, which is not.
I went to a residency in Spain. It was called Valparaiso. It closed
Mhm.
because of lack of funding, the foundation. And this guy came, he was Spanish, he came from Barcelona, and he didn't do anything. The whole time he was there, we were there a month, he didn't do anything. He would make, what's the potato egg dish that the Spaniard,
Yeah.
Torta. Torta de patatas.
he would cook. He said, I'm going to make you a great dish.
Wow.
That's all he
But they
did.
have a chef there.
That's
Why
his
would you do that?
Maybe that was his creative work.
Yeah, that's it.
I couldn't figure that one out.
Did it work for you? Was
Seven
this
eggs
food
delicious,
good?
right?
I don't like potatoes.
Oh, Lynn, so sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you, our panelists, for sharing their experiences. Thank you, Lynn, for coming up with this initiative, with this
I'm
idea.
glad for all of us.
So,
Yes.
continue the conversation as well. Thank you.
It's a bummer you don't like potatoes. Wow.